up, guys? UFC Fight Night, Holm versus Ketlen Vieira is this weekend, and we're here to preview the card and make some bets, predictions. So let's start off with the main event. We have Holm versus Ketlen Vieira. What do you guys think about this fight?
So first things first, this is such a banger of a main event that we had to take last week off, everybody, because this one's gonna knock your socks off. It has the legend, the GOAT, Holm, and Ketlen Vieira, somebody in the division. Basically, the cards lie with Holm all the way. It's as simple as that. If you're betting against Holm, you're betting on two things. You're betting that her age is caught up with her because she's recently 40, or all the injuries have finally caught up with her. Because she's just better. She's just better than Vieira. It's as simple as that. She has better movement than Vieira. She has better striking than Vieira. The only thing Vieira might be a little better with is like on the groundwork. But Holm has great takedown defense. Not even say Holm is better in the clinch than Ketlen Vieira. She has more experience, has all the kickboxing experience. Ketlen Vieira recently got knocked out by Aldana, and she beat Miesha Tate, but she didn't look that impressive, to be honest. So she can barely beat an aging Miesha Tate. I don't think she has much of a chance against Holly.
I agree with you there. So yeah, that Miesha Tate fight is pretty interesting to look at because it's like, yeah, I do think she beat Miesha Tate pretty clearly. She definitely beat her in my opinion, but it was close nonetheless. And this is like a Miesha Tate that's like come off of long layoff. Yeah, she didn't look that good in striking, and like Miesha Tate has really bad striking in my opinion. Like, and Holm fought Tate. Holm was schooling her on the feet, only to lose like a Hail Mary takedown, and then she got choked out.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Holm is probably better just everywhere other than on the ground. But I think Holm is she always seems like she's always improving because we saw in her last fight against Aldana, she was mixing the takedowns. She kind of added that to her game. And I don't know. Yeah, it's hard for me to see Vieira take her down, but she might just like. I think Vieira's gonna be bigger, so she might have like a strength advantage. She might just like clinch up with her and make it like a really boring fight, and then like somehow scrape 3 rounds off of that. That's the only way I could really see her winning.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset that Lorenzo talked first because he kind of said everything I was gonna say. I think we should preface this by saying that Holm is Lorenzo's hero. I think he has posters of her in his room. But everything that he said was accurate. Yeah, Holm's is better movement, better striking, much better striking, good enough takedown defense to keep it off the mat. Especially like when you look at. I can't be sick. I'm like getting retarded. When you look at Vieira's last fight with Miesha, like it just wasn't the kind of performance you want to see from someone who you think would beat Holm. So, Holly by boring decision seems to be the most likely route. Although, I'm tempted to stay away because if you remember, we felt the same way, like literally the exact same way, down to the betting line being similar about Wonder Boy and Bilal, and look how that worked out. So I think there always is the possibility. I think there always is the possibility that because Holm is she's getting pretty fucking old, and there is always the possibility that she's just not the same anymore, and she hasn't fought in a while, if my mind is working correctly still. So
2020, yeah.
Yeah, if I was gonna bet, it would be like a small parlay or anything, but I might just stay away too.
Yeah, I think the Wonder Boy and Bilal comparison is pretty good here. I think the only difference is that Bilal is more skilled than Ketlen Vieira, as much as we don't want to admit it there. Even though he reps Chicago, we don't rep Bilal, except Dermer reps him every day of his life. But so I think that division is a perfect example because Irene Aldana and Vicente Luque, they're basically the same fighter. They have low fight IQ because she did not adjust at all against Holm. Holm was doing the same thing over and over against Irene Aldana, and she just won because she didn't do anything different. And yeah, I just think that Ketlen Vieira is just less skilled. I say if you want to have a super safe parlay, probably her by knockout or points, just on the off chance. You get slightly better odds than parlaying her straight up. I don't think she's gonna win by submission. So, yeah.
I don't think Holly Holm's gonna knock her out. I think Holmes by decision. I think that's pretty safe bet. It's around even money. I think that's the way to play this main event, personally.
Yeah. I'm saying if you want to be super safe, though, you know.
Yeah.
No, that is super. I mean, if you want to be super safe, you fucking stay away from it. But if you're gonna bet, I think home by decision around even money. That seems to be the most sensible option.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it seems like we're all in agreement here. Holly Holm probably takes the main event. So let's move on to the co-main event. We have Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Michel Pereira. Really good fight. What do you guys think about this one?
You want to go first, Trevor?
Sure, why not? I'm actually excited for this one. I think this is gonna be as excited as I could be for something that's probably gonna be a point fight. Because this is probably gonna go a few rounds. I actually don't know. I think the line reflects exactly what I think. I don't know how to feel about this fight. Especially because the continued evolution of Michel Pereira from being the crackhead in the cage to now being seemingly a normal fighter. And I feel like you don't really know what version of him you're gonna get. And then the same is with Ponzinibbio, because I think he's definitely on the decline, and I don't think we know how far he's fallen. And I don't know. I don't know how you could predict what version of each guy is gonna come in. I would lean Pereira, but the bet that I'm really feeling on this is the over. Over 2.5 rounds. I think it's minus 155.
Really, that's really
I
reasonable.
love that.
I like that too.
I kind of like that. Yeah, this is a close fight. I was leaning Pereira a little bit earlier this week. And the more I think about it, I was looking back at some of Ponzinibbio's fights, and I think one thing that sticks out to me is just he's really tough and he has a really high volume, and I think that's gonna be a key against Pereira, because one thing with Pereira is that I think he does tend to gas out a little bit as the fight goes along. So looking back, he did pretty good in his fight against Fialho. That was a pretty good win, considering that Fialho has actually been going on a bit of a streak now. Then against Nico Price, he won the first 2 rounds pretty clearly, but then had to survive that third round. And it might be a similar fight here where maybe he beats Ponzinibbio the first 2 rounds and then has to survive that third round. But then it's well, maybe Ponzinibbio could steal one of those first 2 rounds and then win. So this is a close fight, and I think the line reflects this for sure. So I will lean Pereira though. He's the younger fighter. He's on the come up, whereas Ponzinibbio was on the decline. And skill wise, I think pretty similar, but I think Pereira is just a little better in all areas.
Yeah. So I said this before we started the filming. Michel Pereira is a glorified point fighter, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, to be honest, because that just shows he's matured a whole lot since he's begun here. I think that he definitely has cardio issues, but I just think he's a little better than Ponzinibbio, because Ponzinibbio seemed a little bit slower on the upkeep as things have gone on and on and on. And I think that explosiveness of Ponzinibbio will give Michel Pereira some pause here or there. And I could see Pereira evolving even further into his game. Because, we know him for the flips or stuff, but I could see him potentially doing some grappling here. Because I have a feeling that he wants to be a world champion, to be honest. Which is why he's had restraint in pretty much all his fights. Because if you look at his last few opponents, those are all exciting fighters. Andre Fialho, exciting fighter, though short notice. Nico Price, exciting fighter. Chaos William, exciting fighter. Zelim Emadevov, he's not very exciting, but Michel Pereira stout on him. Diego the Legend Sanchez. That guy nearly beat Kevin Lee in 2022. So, that's just how good he is. But Michel Pereira, probably by points. Or the over. I didn't know about that. That's probably the safest bet.
I like the over. Yeah. I like the over for sure. I mean, like it is a point fighter, but he's still very explosive. So Ponzinibbio has been chinned before, but I do like that over on this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah, it seems like we're all kind of leaning Pereira. Seems like Lorenzo likes him a little more than Dermer, but yeah, I guess we kind of favor Pereira a little bit on this one.
I was gonna say like 52-48 Bahia, but very close.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the third fight. We have Chidi Njokuani versus Dusko Todorovic. I guess I could talk a little bit about this. I think Dusko, he kind of came in the UFC with a little bit of hype. I was kind of high on him after I saw him beat Quan Townsend, but yeah, his next couple fights, he kind of got exposed a little bit, got knocked out by Soriano. He looked pretty bad there, got chinned pretty bad, and then again, yeah, he just got his ass beat by Gregor Rodriguez. Kind of, it looks like he has some chin issues against both those fights. And then he beats Mahi Patolo, which is nothing to write home about. Yeah, I think the hype's kind of gone with Dusko. I think we kind of know what he is. And he's very undersized for that division. Whereas I think Chidi, he hasn't had that much ring time in the UFC, but he has a long record in Bellator where he's done pretty good. He has power, he has length over Dusko, so and he has power. He has power for sure. So I definitely am going to lean Chidi here. He has I believe like a 6-inch reach advantage over Dusko, and I think that's going to be big. So I'm going to lean Chidi here, but maybe Dusko shows that he's still the contender that he thought he was, maybe. But
yeah. So, what I know about this thing, two things. With Dusko Todorovic, I didn't actually know he'd be Michel Pereira via TKO, which is honestly pretty insane because Michel Pereira has a chin on him, man. Only been knocked out one time by Dusko Todorovic in his last like 40 fights. That's insane. But I do remember the Quan Townsend performance where it was so weird. Quan Townsend was so much bigger than him, and Dusko Todorovic looks like a nerd. So the fact that he was able to beat him via grappling, but like you said, the hype train's kind of gone and went with him as well. I think Chidi, when you really look at his record, his Bellator record, is actually pretty dang good, all these considered. So when he's lost to people, it's usually been against pretty elite competition, like John Salter and Rafael Carvalho, who was a former Bellator world champion there. So Chidi, he's going to always give you an exciting fight. He's always going to knock people out. And I think the important thing with Chidi is that I don't think Dusko has the power to put him down. I think that Dusko, and I asked Josh before we begun, does he have a suspect chin? If Dusko has a suspect chin, he's not going to beat Chidi. And yeah, I think that's why Chidi's like a 2-1 favorite here. So that's all I have to say.
I don't know shit about this fight, so I will trust everything that you guys just said.
Yeah. I think Chidi probably will take this one. So let's move on to Tabatha Ricci versus Polyana Viana. I'll be honest, I didn't do much study on this. I don't know much about either fighter. So what do you guys think about this one?
I like Tabatha Ricci a lot here. Especially at the value. It's right now she's -118 on FanDuel. Polyana Viana has more, UFC experience, but I haven't been overly impressed with her so far. Where Tabatha Ricci, I've been a little, even though I think her first UFC fight was against Manon and she lost, but Manon's a fucking killer, so I'm not gonna knock her for that. And then her second fight, I don't even remember who she fought, but she kind of just hugged her.
She beat Oliveira.
What's up?
She beat Oliveira.
Maria Oliveira.
Yeah, but I kind of just see a Tabatha Ricci hugging here. I think she'll be able to get the takedown. I think Polyana has good jiu-jitsu, but I think Tabatha has good enough jiu-jitsu to avoid those positions, and I think she'll just be able to ride it out to a decision. And I mean, It's there is danger because I mean she's probably gonna look to take her down, and then Polyana does have some nasty submissions, but I don't see it happening. I think Ricci just like 30-27s her.
Um, I agree. I actually don't know much about Tabatha Ricci, so I'm gonna just take your word for it there. I'm actually a little ashamed that I don't know much about this, because I usually am pretty well studied on the women's fighters. But yeah, I don't have much tape on either of these, so I believe you fully, Derman.
All right. Yeah. I didn't do much on this, so can't really say one way or the other. But Dermer's high on Ricci, so there we go. All right. So next fight, Anders versus Park. Eryk Anders versus Jin Park. So I did some tape study on this fight. And my conclusion is that it's tough. I think so. Junior Park is like a 2-1 favorite here, and I don't know if he should be that big of a favorite. I do understand why he is the favorite because I think on the feet he has like a slight advantage, but then he has the advantage in the grappling. Junior Park is a pretty good wrestler and he has really good ground control in the ground and pound. And so if he wins the fight, it's most likely going to be by taking him down, getting that ground control, getting that total strikes. Then I don't know, on the feet, like I think it's pretty close. I would say like Union Park is probably like a little more versatile with his striking, but I mean Anders is pretty good there as well. So I think this is a close fight. What I do like in this fight is the over 2.5. I think it's at around like 2-1. You could get it at. I like that because neither guy is really known for their finishing ability, and I do believe this is going to be a grapple heavy, sort of boring fight. Either way, so I like the over here. I don't know much. I can't say much about who wins.
I like Young Park. I remember watching him because he has an awesome nickname, the Iron Turtle. I think you pretty much touch on everything here. He's had a pretty decent run in the UFC. And I actually, how do I put this? I was pretty high on him until he lost to Gregory Rodriguez. But then I realized Gregory Rodriguez is actually just a really solid fighter overall. And Young Park is pretty good at everywhere. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about that there. I think that Eryk Anders is certainly more tested. I think he's fought against better competition overall, but I just don't. Eryk Anders is how do I a gatekeeper to the top 15. So if you can beat him, you're probably good enough to get ranked or good enough to, smell the rankings. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I think you guys covered every base. Yeah, I don't really have much to add.
All right. There's that fight, and so now we're gonna go over some select fights we like on the prelims. Starting with Parker Porter versus Jailton Almeida. This is a pretty interesting fight, mainly because of Jailton Almeida. He's a pretty good prospect. So, what do you guys think about this one?
This is your boy, Dermer. Your boy.
Oh yeah, Parker Porter, one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. Like that motherfucker, when he gets in there, it's always relatively exciting. So about this one, yeah, he's probably gonna lose. The line I would say reflects that very well. Almeida is kind of better everywhere, much better on the ground, much better submissions, and the feet. He's probably better there too, to be honest. Younger, but at heavyweight that doesn't mean much. The one thing Parker Porter is going to have on him is weight. Parker's probably going to be 30, 40 pounds bigger because Parker's fucking cutting to heavyweight, I think, and Almeida's coming up from light heavyweight, although he has fought at heavyweight before. But this kind of seems to be one of those fights that Almeida can win any way he wants. The only two things that scare me are the cardio. I think Parker could put it on him in the third round, maybe. And then the fact that it is at heavyweight, and those big boys can get chinned real quick. So the fact that Parker Porter is plus 430 is actually a little exciting to me. Just because heavyweight and bullshit, like if this was like fucking lightweight, it wouldn't even be a thing. But just because any punch can be the one up there.
Mm-hmm.
I almost think it's worth staying away because I mean Almeida is a lot better than him, but 600 is a lot of juice at heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's pretty accurate. I mean, my 600 is a lot. I mean, like Almeida has fought heavyweight before, but he's mainly a light heavyweight fighter. I mean, I obviously favor him a lot, but I think Parker Porter is actually like a solid heavyweight. Like he's not like a total bum at heavyweight. Like he beats all the guys who are the total bums at heavyweight, right?
mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's not like a rollover, like a walkover by any means. That being said, I mean, Jailton, Jailton Almeida is just such a physical freak. He's massive for 205. I think even with the weight disadvantage, he should be able to I think he still should be able to toss around Parker Porter and really finish him. Um,
Yeah.
I still like Jailton Almeida.
I think Joe Almeida is the opposite place, but let me give some major props. Parker Porter, a super entertaining fighter. He's recently in the UFC, and he came into the UFC when he was like 36 or something, 35, so pretty old as a heavyweight. He has some of the highest fight IQ in the game because he was smart enough to leave light heavyweight after he fought John Jones in his third professional fight ever. So he moved up to heavyweight, and then he's kind of been mediocre. Jailton Almeida, I still remember the first time I saw him in the Contender Series. I think I messaged the group chat like, this guy, he's going to be a champion someday because he's well-rounded on the feet. He's a killer on the ground. And honestly, being good at just one thing is good enough to get you to a championship at light heavyweight here. Plus, when I look at his record, he beat that guy that... I just hate his tattoo. The guy who looks like a feminine Paulo Costa, Caio Baralho. He has like the free spirit tattoo on his neck. Hate the tattoo.
Yeah, he beat him in like a grappling match or something.
He beat him, yeah. So
Oh yeah, we went over this.
yeah, so Jailton Almeida has a pretty good record overall, and he's on an insane fight streak. I don't know why he moved up to heavyweight. Maybe he just figured it was an easier division, or he didn't want to cut weight. But that might actually prove dividends for his cardio. So I think Jailton Almeida wins this any way he wants. I'm honestly surprised he moved up in weight because I think he would easily be like a top 10 in light heavyweight because it's not a very competitive division, unfortunately. So Jailton Almeida any way he wants.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like if this is like a permanent move or like a one-off.
Yeah.
Because I do think he's a very solid prospect at light heavyweight. But yeah, maybe he bulks up for heavyweight. He could do some damage too.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's move on. So, what are we gonna watch? So, Chase Hooper, I guess, is our next fight. Chase Hooper versus Felipe Colares. So I did some tape study on this one. I'm just gonna say I like Felipe Colares here. I think he's just the better mixed martial artist. Now, I don't think Felipe Colares is that good, honestly. I think he's pretty bad. This in general is a pretty low level MMA fight, but I think Chase Hooper is just not a UFC caliber fighter, especially right now. He's like 22 years old. Pretty much like if you were to make a UFC character in a video game, he's pretty much just like if you put all your points into jiu-jitsu and nothing else. Like that's pretty much Chase Hooper. His striking's not good. And he has no takedowns. His way to go to the ground is to pull guard. Then it's like he doesn't even not even very offensive like on bottom. Like most of the time he just like pulls guard and then like his opponent just stays there in full guard and like does like total strikes on him, and then that's pretty much how Chase Hooper loses fights. That's what happened against Steven Peterson. Against Peter Barrett, who is like really bad. He was getting beaten up and then pulled a heel hook out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, he's just not good. He's just not good, and I know he's only 22, but I just don't see it from that guy. So I'm trust Felipe Colares. I don't think he's very good as well, but I do think he's UFC caliber. He's like an all right striker, I guess. He's also like a BJJ expert. And so he might even be better than Chase Hooper BJJ, to be honest. Like, I mean, he's Brazilian. He trains with
He's
Tino
Brazil.
Guerra, which is like a bunch of obviously like really good grapplers there. So yeah, I mean, I like Felipe Colares here.
Yeah. Before we started, so I don't think that highly of Chase Hooper either. Before we recorded, I asked Josh just how good is Felice Diaz Colares, because Chase Hooper, he got some hype because in his first ever UFC fight, he knocked out David Timur, and David Timur is actually really, really good. He has a name for himself, but then he get his ass kicked in pretty much every single fight. Even the ones he won, he kind of pulls a Hail Mary and somehow pulls out a win. So it's a little too much too soon for him. He's only 22. He has time to grow. He is working with Wonder Boy, so maybe he'll come back as a striker. But yeah, I don't know about this. I'm gonna take your word. Felipe Diaz Colares. I got him instead because he's probably actually UFC caliber, not being pushed because he's young.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a little too much too soon for Chase Hooper, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I'd pick him.
Anything else, John?
I'm all for the Chase. I'm all for the Chase Hooper is bad bet. So yeah,
Funny.
All right. Do we have anything else?
We
Elise
got
Reed, Sam Hughes.
yeah. This will be, I think, the last one here. So this is a very difficult fight for me to predict because Sam Hughes I thought was going to get destroyed by Estela Nunez, and she was getting really destroyed in like round 1, round 2. Then Estela Nunez just seemed to gas. Or I shouldn't say that. I
She
should
totally
say
gassed.
that Sam. Well, I want to give more confidence to Sam Hughes because Sam Hughes pulled the cardio card, and she was able to basically outpower her, get her takedowns, and then beat her down. Not beat her down. Let's not over exaggerate. But she took some really heavy shots from Estela Nunez. I looked at Elise Reed's most recent fights too. She doesn't hit as hard as Estela Nunez does by any means, but she's better with her footwork. So Estela Nunez has a Muay Thai type stance there where she's pretty rigid. She moves back and forth really well to counterpunch, but she's not left to right as bouncy as Elise Reed is. Elise Reed looks like she specializes Taekwondo, does a lot of kicks, does some damage, and she seems smart enough to avoid the striking. The one thing about Elise Reed, she's good enough to not get taken down for too long. I watched her fight against Corey McKenna. She managed to get up a few times. The only thing I would worry is that Sam Hughes, I think, is good enough to probably hold her there for the most part. But Corey McKenna was really muscling through her takedown. Like, she would just lift Elise Reed down and slam her to get. And I don't think Sam Hughes is good enough to do that. She doesn't have the explosiveness. So I could just see this being Elise Reed keeping her distance, keeping the cardio, and then hitting her, moving back and forth, and not getting taken down. So I think Elise Reed is a bet if you're going to make one, or probably the distance. But yeah, I'm not too confident. Sam Hughes might blow my mind again, but Elise Reed probably by points.
Yeah, I guess I like Elise Reed here too. I mean, like Sam Hughes, she has one win in the UFC against Estela Nunez, but I mean just to say it, like Estela Nunez completely gassed. She was dominating the fight, and then just yeah, like totally gassed. Other than that, like Sam Hughes has had a terrible run in the UFC. I mean, she's been taken down in all her fights. I don't think she's actually that good of a grappler, even though she was dominating Estela Nunez in the grappling. Um, and Elise Reed's actually like kind of decent, maybe. At least better than
Enough.
Sam Hughes, in my opinion. So,
Mm-hmm.
Elise Reed. All right.
Yeah.
Um,
Remember anything?
oh, I got nothing on this one, boys.
Yeah, Sam Hughes. The only thing I could say about her record is that it's a little deceiving because she has fought good competition, like Vanessa Demopoulos, who was a former champion, Tisha Torres, and Luana Pinheiro. I don't know who the other person she lost to is, but she's fought good competition. But Elise Reed is the smart money.
all right, let's go on to our bets. So I'll start off
Mhm.
first. So here are my bets for this weekend. So I have Holly Holm by decision at -110. Putting down 3 units on that. I have Anders and Park, that fight over 2.5 rounds, and Holm Vieira over 4.5 rounds. parlayed. That's plus 108. I have 4 units on that. And I have a Colares Almeida parlay at minus 115, putting down 3 units on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my turn.
Yeah.
All right. I'll start with my main event. Holm by decision, same as you. 2 units on that. And then we have 3 units on the over in Pereira and Ponzinibbio at minus 155. It's over 2.5 rounds. And then I have 5 units on the Tabatha Ricci money line at minus 118.
So what's the
Nice.
second one? The Michel Ponzinibbio over 2.5.
Pereira, over 2.5, yeah, minus 155.
That's 3 units.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I have Holly Holm via decision or KO at minus 200 for 2.5. Michel Pereira by points or KO at minus 115 for 2.5. Elise Reed by points. Oh no, that's just Elise Reed's trade up. They didn't have the points yet. Minus 172 for 2.5. And I think Erlos Medic, we didn't talk about him much, but I think he's a dog. He's a small dog, but he's a dog. 2.5.
All right. Those are our bets. This is Cold Takes MMA. Comment and subscribe.
Peace, y'all.